Hey guys, Cal from Team Snacked, and welcome back to another episode of Kobold Tribe's 2v2 Pro Circuit Action, spawning in the top left corner with a team name so silly I could never say it on live stream, although this is a recording, so I'll say it once. Bubbles and Chubs with the team name Space Alligator Dinosaurs. It's a really stupid name. I told them not to get it, and now I'm being forced to say it because they are sort of kind of winning the tournament. It also has an acronym S.A.D if you want to check that out. And in the bottom right hand corner we have Daedalus and Zorex from EKCC, European Kobold Candle Collectors. It's a European clan. They are both European, I believe. Zorex
Your
is British.
forces are under attack.
Daedalus is Israeli or something, I don't know. Anyway, arguably they're the strongest team, and their team name is Grim Orange. As always, check us out on twitch.tv, twitch.tv/teamsnacked, and like, comment, and subscribe to the videos. You can see Bubbles and Chubs here, collecting as much lumber and or leather as possible. They usually do that. It's a good idea to do that at the beginning of the game, so you can get your outpost, your workbench, your tavern, all your stuff. Outpost is the most important, so you can buy and sell the stuff that you need to build all the other buildings, as well as craft your gear. Chubs and Bubbles probably going for rush type gear. You can see they're both going forestry, and that usually means rushing. And the reason you do that is because you can chop down some trees on your way to your opponent, and they'll still have full stam, or close to it, or more stam I should say, by the time you get to their base. Zorex and Daedalus gonna get some lucky birds here. Even another bird landing on Zorex's post. So it's 3 birds for a south team, 0 birds for Bubbles, as Chubbs does not have an outpost. And you can see that Daedalus and Zorex are going for more of a techie build, as they do have the Murlocs out, or at least Zorex has the Murloc out. And that usually means they're going to be going for more tech. And if you see them basing separately,
Your
that usually means that
under attack.
they're going for more more of a tech route. And you can see Chubs and Bubbles here basing together. And if you see people basing together, it usually means in a team game that they're going to be rushing. And you can see Bubbles there getting trapped by the wolf while crafting, which is why you usually want to make the fire first. So don't try this at home, kids. That is not good unless you're pro like Bubbles. Arguably one of the fastest players, or the fastest player of the game, in my opinion. You can see here he has about 142 average APM, which is insane for KT. Average APM in KT is about 80 to 110 APM. And if you have upwards of 120, I'd say you're fairly pro. So Bubbles arguably is the fastest techer in the game, and Chubs is a close second. These guys are really fast at getting stuff. So as you can see, it's night 1. We'll take a look at the upgrades tab in just a second, but first of all we're going to take a look at the vision of North Team. Still no birds, still no CV as far as I can tell, for no scans for Chubs and Bubbles. So that means they are going to have to delay their rush to day 2 or day 3. I'm sorry, till day 3 or day 4, because they have no vision and they have no idea what they are rushing into. On the other hand, Daedalus and Zorex seem to have vision on North Team. See Zorex there crafting something at the smithy, probably a spear or a battle axe. I'm going to guess battle axe. Zorex is a player, European player, usually goes for a kind of build that's become synonymous. People even call it the Zorex build, which is a warlock vestment, lantern, and a battle axe. It's a really good build. It's a strange build, but it works well. And the thing about warlock vestments build is that you definitely have to get guardian spirit with that, as the spells do eat away at your life, and you definitely want to always have guardian on to heal you, otherwise you will die. Either that or have really good food, but you definitely also need guardian spirit no matter how good your food may be. See Daedalus here with a Huntsman stick as some basic anti-rush gear. They were both anti-rushing just in case they got rushed by a snack, which would have happened, to be fair, if they got vision on them. You can say Daedalus here going for his true build, making a lantern, possibly crafting something else later. See the leather, iron, stone, shadow stone, lumber, and could be making a gun here. Meanwhile, Chubs and Bubbles still they are full gear. They have they don't have spells yet, but they have full gear, and they could rush if they so chose after tonight, presumably after they get spells. Let's take a look at the upgrades tab. Still no purchase spells for either side. If you notice, some teams already have spells. That's from perks. You can perk Nature's Grace and Mining Spell depending on what build you're going. You can see Zorex and Daedalus both going for mining builds, and or I'm sorry, Zorex is going to be going for cooking foraging, and Daedalus is going to be going for mining. Cooking foraging is a build that's really good with the Warlock's Vestments, because Warlock's Vestments increases your health, and foraging increases your health as well. So you'll have a ton of health if you have Warlock's Vestments, as well as a cooking foraging build. And you need to go cooking with that build because you're going to need a lot of food to sustain that high level of health. You can see Daedalus and Zorex kind of anticipating a rush here, so they're evacuating to North Shrine. You know what they say, when behind North Shrine. Actually, they say when behind Dark Shrine, but this isn't StarCraft, so I've adapted it slightly for Kobold Trabs. When behind North Shrine, because a North Shrine turtle is very hard to beat, especially in in-house when it's a 5v5. In 2v2, it's still possible to beat a North Shrine, but still, it's a very strong defense due to the small, winding passageways with which to attack into North Shrine. It's hard to do that, especially if they had turrets behind a tree right here, which is what they usually do and what Daedalus is doing right now. Zorex here freezing. A little bit of trouble, no food. Hopefully night ends soon, then it does. And you can see Bubbles and Chubs rushing in. They don't have vision on them yet, but they kind of guessed that they would be basing at 4 rocks. 4 rocks is the location right here, as you can tell, because of the 4 rock patches, mineral patches, rock patches, although one has been mined out. And so if Bubbles and if Zorex and Daedalus had stayed there, they definitely would have gotten destroyed by this rush. As you can see in the upgrades tab, Bubbles and Chubs do have Siphon and Flick respectively. But South Team still does not have spells by 7 minutes, almost 8 minutes now. So North Shrine went behind, and Daedalus and Zorex, I would say, are definitely behind at this point in the game. Although let's take a look at Structures tab. Maybe they're ahead in map control, though at this point in the game, there's really not that much to be said for map control. Actually, you know what? They're not even ahead in map control, because see, Chubbs has 5 tents here. Bubbles has 2 tents. It's a lot more tents than they do. And Structures, actually, period. Since Bubbles and Chubbs failed at the rush, they're definitely going to be going for this Fisherman's Bow quest. It's very important to get the Fisherman's Bow in 2v2. For reasons I'll explain later. Let's see what happens here. Daedalus probably going for some early gun harass. Not early gun harass, but harassing them, trying to stop them from getting the quest, but it's not going to be very successful, as they do not have spells. Does manage to kill the wisps there with the gun, but it would have gone way better if Daedalus had Affliction. Unfortunately, you can see the Affliction come out from Chubs and Bubbles there, and no Affliction for Daedalus or Zorex, which is really going to cripple their ability to attack, defend, or deny this quest. As Zorex does not have his Warlock investment at this point in the game. 9 minutes in, it's very unusual for players not to be geared at 9 or 10 minutes. Unless they're going for a super high art build, but even then, it's better to have some basic gear at first, that way you can defend against rushes. see in the upgrades tab though, Daedalus is going to be getting some Shadow Cloak and Guardian Spirit, which is a really good defensive spell. Many people think that Cloak is used for offensive, and it's true that you can use Cloak as a sniping spell, but for the most part, you use it as a running away spell. It's way better as a running away spell. If you're just going to be standing there and fighting it out with a ranged weapon, it's better to have Siphon than to waste mana on Cloak. It's not a very good use of mana. Unless, of course, you want to do a lot of damage at once if you're sniping them when they're at low health. You can see Chubbs and Bubbles still don't have vision on North Shrine, although they do have one bird up here which has found the tavern, and that is going to be enough to prompt them to go correctly guess that Daedalus and Zorex are turtling at North Shrine. No pets for them, but they do have the exploding crossbow. They do have decent food, I think. Well, Chubbs has one spiced lamb, Bubbles just has regular tavern food, although it doesn't matter because the other team does not have any food at all. Daedalus, there's no food there. Even with the turrets trying to defend, the Afflict still goes out, and Daedalus is going to be, they're definitely going to have to abandon this base. You can see the exploding crossbow there. It does a ton of damage to the turrets, which is another perk of the exploding crossbow. And neither Daedalus or Zorex has incredibly high artisan, which is another reason their turrets are not that strong. You can see Bubbles there with forestry still. Yes, he is committed to this 20 forestry build. It's going to make microing with that exploding crossbow much harder. Although you see he does spot Zorex there for a bit and does correctly see him, so this is going to be some trouble for Zorex. It's a lot harder to micro. Back in the Wand Forestry days, it was a lot easier to kill trees with a ranged weapon, but after the nerfs to forestry following that patch, it is incredibly difficult to take you 3 or 4 hits, even with a ton of forestry, using a ranged weapon to kill a tree. You can see Bubbles here with 75 stam. Zorex getting afflicted by Bubbles there. No spike. Zorex trying to get a tent down there to get some stam back, throwing out the Guardian to try to delay the death as long as possible, although with the incredible range on that crossbow and all the stamina that Bubbles has, it's going to be incredibly hard to escape him. Especially since Bubbles is a forester and Zorex is a miner. I do not believe he has adrenaline yet. No, he does not have high enough mining. He is only 15 mining, and he does not have adrenaline. So this might be GG for Zorex here. You can see Zorex fainting there, almost getting away, although he would have been killed by Chubbs right there. Let's see how Daedalus is doing. Daedalus already has post mats in his bag. Going to be making a post right away, so he's going to get it. And with all the let's see, take a look at his gold. He has 66 gold right now, so with all the gold he has, he was able to get that resurrection up on Zorex relatively quickly, or I should say very quickly. That's one of the quickest reses I've ever seen in Pro Circuit. And the first quest, or I should say the second quest that pops, is the arena quest. Unfortunately, this looks like it's going to be, or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for, it looks like it's going to be free 75 gold for North team, as South team is in no position to go into the arena at this point. Daedalus with, I believe, no food and no spikes. So Zorex and Daedalus are going to be splitting up here, trying to evade and tech as long as possible. Zorex is going to be needing to rebuild his tech from scratch. Going to be very difficult at this point in the game, as we are going into mid-game here. And any moment now, Chubbs should be stepping into the arena, as he does have beer braised. No spikes, but he really doesn't need them, to be honest, at this point. See Chubs with some pretty decent food. You can see that North team is definitely a really fast attacking team. Let's take a look at the upgrades tab here. You can see Bubbles getting Shadow Cloak, picking up on night 4, I believe it was, picking up Cloak and CV, so we can scan around for South team here, as they're going to need to find them fast before they can tech up again and get their gear and advantage back. You can see Bubbles putting a little bit of points into foraging there so he can find them easier by spawning campfires. It's probably a smart decision at this point in the game. And you can see that Bubbles sees the campfire and the outpost at this point. So he knows that Daedalus has already got a res off on Zorex. You can see him toss out a few scans there. Actually does manage to spot Zorex if he's paying attention to that scan. I hope he is. And it looks like the answer is yes, he was paying attention to that scan, so he's going to be heading down there to hunt down and kill the Zorex. It's like Zorex, his name's almost like Zohan, like that movie. Did Zorex see that scan? Does he know the imminent death that is coming towards him? Hopefully Zorex will be able to mine maybe a few sageberries off here before he has to boogie on out of there. Oh, it looks like he's trying to mine for actually a sageberry to make his Warlock's vestment. Unfortunately, not enough raw lamb to do that just yet. It looks like Bubbles will be trading or posting his old gear, his wool coat, and he will be trading it for a huntsman's jacket, which is going to extend the range of the bow, so he's definitely going to be beasting it with that bow fairly shortly. Daedalus has run all the way north. Oh, you can see that Chubbs has already come down from North Shrine and has found Zorex from the other direction. A little bit less stam. But you can see Bubbles with full stam here, and it looks like they're going to be able to kill him before the stam runs out. You can see 2 deaths for Zorex there. You can see that incredibly long range on the blunderbuss with the huntsman's jacket, and wouldn't be surprised if Chubbs was also perking for extra range. If we could see the upgrades tab, you can see, although Chubbs and Bubbles are winning as they have killed a person, Daedalus has definitely got his pet upgrades. You can see him with the Predator Knowledge and the Companionship upgrade. The Predator Knowledge upgrade for the pets is something you buy from the Hunter's Lodge that allows your pets to scale as the game goes on. They get stronger per every minute that they're alive, so that's definitely one of the first perks you want. And he also has the Companionship perk, or Companionship, not perk, but Companionship upgrade, which is a pet upgrade that lets you get 2 pets instead of just 1. Also very important to have. You can see the next quest here is a forestry quest, and I'm predicting that North team, although they are on the southern part of the map right now, at the moment, I'm predicting that Chubs and Bubbles is definitely going to win this quest, as they are both foresters, and Daedalus is a miner, albeit with nature's grace. You can see Daedalus just racking up the pet upgrades here, as he knows he's going to have incredibly buff pets if he is going to 1v2 Chubs and Bubbles. Getting a lucky first hit on a bear there. I don't believe Daedalus is a forager, so that was luck, I think. Nope, actually he is a forager. He has 20 foraging. So the higher you're foraging, the easier it is to tame pets. Chubs and Bubbles here are a little bit stuck. They have no idea where Daedalus has gone. Oh, actually, but one of them getting a lucky scan directly on the place where Daedalus is. I don't know if that's lucky or if they're listening to the map. I believe that was Bubbles that had scan. As you can see, his mana's low, and Chubs here has full mana, so that was actually Bubbles' scan. So good job for him. Unfortunately for them, even though this is Daedalus' base, he is long since gone to the land of the North, the land of North Shrine. He's going to be going to North Shrine to try to get a res on Zorex yet again. Hopefully this time Zorex can take up faster and they can make a comeback. And with those 2 pets as possible, they might be able to actually hold North Shrine this time. See, Chubs and Bubbles here are definitely going to be winning the forestry quest, as there's 2 of them and they are both foresters. Daedalus here looking like he's mining for res mats. You can see he has a Radiant, a Shadow Stone, 2 Shadow Stones in fact, a bunch of iron. But instead he looks like he's going to be making a turret here, perhaps making a bit of a trap, a bit of a choke for Bubbles and Chubs, which he knows are coming to hunt him down. And it is raining, although I have the effects turned down. If you can hear the sound effect, you see the debuff on them. It is raining right now. So that's going to make interesting gameplay for Daedalus here. Not so much for Chubs and Bubbles, as they are foresters, so they can always just cut down another tree for extra warmth. You can see Chubs running along here as almost full stam. You can see Chubs and Bubbles do have vision on Daedalus' stronghold, or last stand stronghold. So you can see Daedalus here is probably going for a last stand type of situation. Chubs running up there. He can see the turret, but he decides to run in anyway. Oh, those double pets going to be doing a lot of damage to Chubs. No foraging. Daedalus making an impressive play here with his 1v2. But that exploding crossbow is just destroying the pets here. See Bubbles put on Guardian just in case he gets damaged. Unfortunately not microing that wolf back correctly, so it is going to die here. Exploding crossbow killing both the pet and doing damage to the turret, which is now out of ammo. You can see Chubs here and Bubbles both with medium stam and medium warmth. Daedalus here running dangerously low on warmth. Does have the Guardian's Growth, so he can live for a little bit of while. You can see him trying to put a tent there, hide under tent from the rain, get back just a little bit of warmth and buy a little bit of time for himself. Fortunately, they are going to find him and he's going to be forced back out. This is where those mining builds are not very useful in these chasing situations. Only 4 warmth left, while Bubbles still has 42, and it looks like the Afflict's going to be going on Daedalus, although that shouldn't matter that much, other than adding a little bit of DPS, as he does have more stam, but no warmth. Looks like it's going to be GG for Daedalus here. Cloaking past, trying to cloak walk past and survive for a little while, but dies to a spike trap planted here earlier by Bubbles, or earlier by Chubs. Anyway, that was quite an upset there. You can see Zorex and Daedalus actually arguably the strongest team in the league right now, being killed by Chubs and Bubbles, who arguably are the second strongest team in the league. So actually I expected Zorex and Daedalus to pull a win out of here, but they just got too much of a rough start, getting not enough, not fully geared and no spells even at 8 or 10 minutes into the game, which is really a disaster in terms of teching. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the match, and tune in next time.